Greetings viewers. In this video let's talk about crypto assets and inflation. Well, in simple terms, let's see how does Bitcoin has stacked as a hedge against inflation. To do that, well, we will see Bitcoin charts for last couple of years, federal funds rate and inflation in Eurozone and United States. Why? Well, because there is perception that Bitcoin is some sort of safe haven against hyperinflation and failed monetary policies of major central banks. At least the people who are proponing crypto has been pointing this as a key aspect. Why? Because Bitcoin has limited supply and it's not regulated by anyone. So if something bad happens, it's a perfect place to go as a hedge. It's kind of similar as with gold, but it's, so to speak, more modern, and there is more effective tools how to buy and transfer Bitcoin than it is to physical gold. So it kind of makes perfect sense, and this is now the first time for a while when we could make objective comparisons, because in order to see whether something works, we have to see this for extended periods of time. This is one of the paradoxes of trading and investing, that we have to make decisions right now in the unknown situation, but to see if something has happened according to our theories, we would see only this after the fact. Paradox, if you would say that. Yes, because here's also the thing: there wasn't actually been a real inflationary environment since the Bitcoin has been traded as we know it. The exception is only the last couple of years. Let's see, for instance, in the January 21st, inflation was 1.4% and it was 0.9% in Europe. So this is actually the only first time in years when we have like something which we objectively could call inflation, both in Eurozone and United States. And actually we would see that something like as a sustainable inflation like above 4% was since beginning of 2021 in the United States right up until now, which is like spring, late May 2023. So the period from I would say late 2021 until beginning of 2023 was real inflationary environment, because before that in the United States it was hovering around 5%, which was relatively reasonable. We could live with 5%, but 9% is a bit too much. So yes, first half of 2021 till April-May 2023 in United States, and in Europe it's more like late 2021, early 2022, right up until now. So latter half of 2021 till today will be like objective place where we could see how Bitcoin has performed as a hedge of inflation. As a rule of thumb, it has to be either stable or to rise in their prices, so to hedge that fall in currencies. So let's see. We have mid to late 2021 somewhere here. Let's be objective and put these dates a bit vague. We just cannot say it was from August 1st 2021 till May 20, 2023. That's nonsense, because we have to make approximate periods. So let's be generous and say this is like August and September of 2021, when Bitcoin cost $47,000 till today. And we could see that, well, if someone wanted to hedge against inflation in the form that Bitcoin should rise in its value, they clearly hasn't made a very good business decision, because Bitcoin spiked in late 2021. This was August, September, October, November, like here, and from there it went flatly down till mid 2022 and effectively has stayed there for last week. So you can't say that Bitcoin was a stable hedge on inflation when inflation peaked. It was like here. This was this time when inflation was 9%. It reached its peak in mid 2022, both in the United States, and it was a bit later in Europe. So it was kind of autumn in Europe. So From that we could see, yes, it was hedge of inflation, it was stable, but it didn't rise. So this is the question, how you want to interpret Bitcoin prices and to define your hedge of inflation. To speak that it was in the low price and it didn't fluctuate much, and other financial markets fluctuated. In that sense, yes, it has made some sort of hedge, but it's way lower levels than it was when inflation picked up, which we cannot say about gold, because gold actually had risen, and it stayed at the prices which were near all-time highs, and dollar was quite stable, but that's for another video. And here we could say that if you wanted to say, yes, inflation will pick up, I will buy Bitcoin because it will provide tremendous value comparing to stocks or to crypto or excuse me, gold, or to other currencies. No, it has failed miserably, because it was here when inflation started. It's now here when it was falling and making very low returns when inflation was in full range. So there is like no real correlation between rising inflation and Bitcoin. No, if you want to address these theses to your investments, no, this is not the environment. And actually, when it rose, it more correlated with activities with central banks, and it doesn't correlate directly with inflation. So there's the thing, there's the question whether it's risk asset or hedge against inflation, because it certainly is not hedge of inflation. To go from 66,000 to lower than 20,000, it's not a hedge of inflation. And when inflation rises to unsustainable levels in largest economies in the world, and central banks are rising interest rates as hell from almost 0% to 5%, then Bitcoin does nothing. Like, that's not hedge of inflation, excuse me, but it's simply not. So actually, yes, Fed started to rise interest rates of April 2022 and held it right up until now. Let's see how high they will hold it for how long time, but April 2022 is somewhere here. This was all the period they were rising interest rates. There is no correlation, like you could see that it's not negative. It doesn't correlate. There is no correlation between interest rates or inflation to crypto prices. This is the fact. You simply here see inflation started to pick up there, and it rose right up until early 2023. So no correlations with nothing. Same with interest rates. Interest rates started to rise here, and they're rising up right up until now. Bitcoin also fell and stayed flat with very low volatility for all that time period. So there is no correlation between that. What happens with other assets, how they perform according to or in context to interest rates and inflation, we will see in other videos, but we see now that don't try to look at the Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation or failed policies of central banks, because as of now it simply doesn't work. Bitcoin might rise, yes, Bitcoin might fall, and it's very good asset for speculative trading. There is no questions about it, because those huge swings, as we could see here and here, makes like tremendous money. But do not think for a second that it's somehow easily seeable, it's seen and forecasted by simple things like correlation between inflation and interest rates. It doesn't work like that, at least not with Bitcoin. But there still are profitabilities, but do not overthink this. It is what it is, and it is what you see now. So let's see in other videos how inflation has impacted other markets. Maybe there is something more interesting with classical assets. We will see, but now here it is what it is. So stay tuned for my next video. Make sure you are subscribing and following me. Bye.